Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again on another video on The Flash Season 9, bit of a throwback. So the Flash TV show wrapped over a month ago. To me, it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but I guess there was a lot of stuff that sort of, happened over the past month that sort of filled that void and made it feel like it was, like not too much time had passed. But yeah, a month on from the ending of not just The Flash, but the Arrowverse as a whole. And I have seen new people tap into their thoughts on the final season as it did, hit Netflix. I think it was about a week. Or just over a week or so after it aired the finale on the CW. So it was cool to see some new reactions and thoughts to the big episodes of the season, especially episode 10. But one thing that many people are still wondering and questioning was the lack of certain appearances, especially towards the end of the final season. And I left this video off for a couple of weeks for two reasons. Firstly, I wanted to hear back from someone who usually has tapped into the informational side of things when it comes to this and just get their, opinions on it and what they know. And secondly, I wanted to see if there were any questions to certain actors, at conventions and stuff like that, who would hopefully provide answers. And in regards to the first, we got something. And in regards to the second, we also got something. But it wasn't from the couple of people I was hoping from, but it's someone who can still play into this, conversation. But it still leads into the main topic of this video. And that will be the first thing we talk about. So recently at a convention, Katie Sackhoff, who of course played everyone's favorite British ex-flight attendant medal manipulating crime boss, I guess you'd call her, of course that being Amina Black, was asked about why she didn't reprise her role as Amina Black in the final season, and even some of the previous seasons before that as well, and this is what Katie had to say. You know what? A lot of people love that character in The Flash. I was really disappointed that I didn't get to go back and actually reprise that role. Obviously, someone over there didn't like me that much because I did everything short of get down on bended knee, so they did not want my character back again, so I tried. There's just so many seasons and so many characters to wrap up that I think you got to be discerning and what the stories are going to be moving forward for sure. So in regards to this, I don't think Amina Black would have been at the top of the CW and the showrunners to get back sort of list, especially considering the limited episodes in the season compared to, seasons of the past. But it is interesting to see that she was sort of reaching out, hey, do you want me to come back? I'd love to come back. And there was just a no, because in previous seasons, they would have done that. They would have been okay, this person wants to come back. Let's have some fun with it. Let's go. And there was definitely room in the final season, especially when we look at some of those filler episodes. They could have definitely, done something there. So obviously that raises a question mark. Okay, well, you didn't bring her in. Of course, they mentioned her this season when Goldface showed up. Goldface showed up, so why wouldn't you bring back Aminette as well? I'm not saying they should have, but the door was open there. But this does lead into something I'd been asking around about, and I got some interesting feedback that also leads into something Superman and Lois related, which I think I may have mentioned in passing in a Superman and Lois video from a couple of weeks ago. At least I think I mentioned it. Anyway. So the thing I was told after asking someone in the know was about Carlos Valdez returning as Cisco because of the whole confusion around even Carlos himself as to whether he or not he would be showing up in some way in the final season, more specifically the finale of the series. And this doesn't mean him walking in and going, hey, it's me, Cisco, or whatever it is, but him on the phone or a photo of him or a video call, something along those lines, to just include him in some way. Now, we had been told that Carlos was busy and he couldn't show up and everything like that. But at the time they were filming the finale, this was sort of called out as not true. They easily could have brought in Carlos for a day or two to film stuff like they did with a bunch of other actors as well. So it didn't really line up. And what has come out, or what I've been told, is that they simply didn't have the money to pay for someone like Carlos to show up because he'd be on the more expensive end for a potential guest actor that was there to use that already wasn't on the show. Now, of course, this could be confirmed or denied at a later stage, whenever that might be, but that's just a simple explanation around it. Now, over, since, even before the finale aired, even after they filmed it and there wasn't really any physical sign that Carlos had showed up, some have argued whether it wasn't a situation where they couldn't afford to pay for a guest appearance by someone like Carlos Valdez as Cisco or other actors that, some would have expected to show up, and more that they didn't want to pay. They could have, they just didn't want to. And that's something that you or I aren't going to find out ever, I don't think. But considering the circumstances around other elements of the show, and I feel like cost cutting and stuff like that, that would not be a shock in the slightest. That would not be a shock in the slightest if that was the case there. As I said, I don't know if that's anything that's ever going to come out and be hey, I couldn't show it because they didn't want to pay for me. They'll probably just think hey, they just didn't have time to put me in there or something like that. That's probably going to be the thing that's said. Nothing around slamming, whether it's the CW because they didn't want to pay for extra licensing fees, in regards to what's in the episode, or even Warner Brothers TV themselves because, they didn't want to produced that character into the show. So I don't think we'll ever find out in regards to that, but it'll be an interesting thing to keep in mind, I guess. But that is all in regards to the Flash specifically, because this sort of does tie into that Superman and Lois thing I was talking about before, and that is in regards to David Ramsey, who of course plays Diggle. Now, we saw Diggle appear in that 9th episode of season 9 of The Flash alongside Oliver Queen, Your Bloodwork, Wally West, and of course they bundled all those actors into the one episode to make it work and make it worth it. If they were spread out, you probably wouldn't have heard all those people come back. In one episode, it was a bit of a bundle deal. But there has been this might sound weird, a Diggle-sized hole in Superman and Lois this season, as he was sort of set up last season as a character that would be showing up, maybe not every episode of season 3, but at least recurring for a decent handful of episodes. Like, we got 13 episodes in season 3, so maybe he would have showed up for 4 of them, 4 of the 13 episodes, or at least 3 of the 13 episodes of season 3, or something like that. But here's the thing, he hasn't appeared in 3, 2, or even 1. He hasn't appeared in any of them. And we have the season 3 finale, I think tomorrow, maybe from when this video will be uploaded. So what the hell happened there? Well, you would notice that in this season of Superman and Lois, if you are watching, there hasn't been any guest actors really. And that was sort of the case with The Flash in regards to bigger ones. So you just, like with Superman and Lois, it's just been the main cast and that's it. And when I say guest actors, it's sort of what I was talking about before with The Flash. I mean notable ones, whether that's from a character from a previous season, or someone that people would actually want to be showing up, or someone from another show. And in the case of Superman and Lois, someone from another show showing up would be someone like Diggle. And this is, I think you have to say it's clearly a budget saving tool. But it also impacted storytelling because they had to get rid of Diggle. And David Ramsey said before season 3 started filming that he would be showing up in season 3. So instead, they've just sort of mentioned some stuff that Diggle has done off screen to help them. While I guess in the original plans, or at least, what they set up at the end of season 2 leading into season 3, is that Diggle would be literally part of scenes and assisting in certain things, whether it was with Lois or Superman or John Henry or the government, whatever it is. So off screen, Diggle has been getting certain information and stuff like that. And on the actual show, what we're seeing is that this information is usually just then passed on by General A. And he says, oh yeah, Diggle or John got this for us or something like that. So it wasn't just the Flash that was affected by this cost saving measure by not having as many cast members or guest actors, but also Superman and Lois. Now, on a brighter viewpoint, or maybe a silver lining to all of this, if you want to put it, it maybe feels right that Diggle, if he isn't going to show up again in Superman and Lois in season 4, maybe it feels right that his last appearance in the Arrowverse and DC TV, at least on the CW, was alongside Stephen Amell as Oliver Queen and Barry Allen there as well. Maybe that feels right. Maybe that's the silver lining to all of this. So maybe keep that in mind and just go, hey, it would have been weird if maybe he just had made one random appearance in Superman and Lois and it didn't work out. Maybe the actual final footage of Diggle on screen for something new that was filmed, being alongside Oliver, maybe that's the better way to go out. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention in this video is something that I heard a couple of people message me about going, hold on, is this actually possible? And unfortunately, there's been a lot of I don't want to say clickbait, but I guess that's probably the best way to put it around. And I didn't want to make a video on it just because it'd be disingenuous. So I just thought I'd mention it here. But there is this whole thing going around about Netflix, acquiring shows from Warner Brothers through HBO Max, their earlier seasons, whether it's a show that's already ended or, a show that's maybe in its 5th or 6th season and Netflix gets the first handful of seasons, but it's an HBO Max show or whatever it is. And I don't know where the connection has come because there's no real correlation, but I've just seen a lot of, false hope put out there. But I guess it's not even really about a show like The Flash, which ended its run properly, or Arrow, which ended its run properly, but more about shows like a Batwoman or Legends of Tomorrow, which were cancelled, or even a Stargirl that was cancelled. But this isn't possible. It's just not going to happen. A lot of this stuff is just things that are done. It's not about saving a show or whatever it is. It's about just trying to make some monetary value off stuff that's just sitting on their service that they're not currently spending money on making right now. So a lot of the shows that are being mentioned are ones that finished 2 years ago, but they had 5 or 6 seasons or whatever it is, a decent library there, which they can then offload to Netflix. Netflix might pay a certain amount for it and stuff like that. But I've just seen a lot of confusion. I think it's just trying to mislead people, but I just want to make that clear. Legend of Tomorrow, for example, or Batwoman or Stargirl, they're not going to get saved by Netflix. It's just something that's not going to happen. If they're going to get saved, it would have been by a place like HBO Max, because if there was such a big audience there to, that wanted it saved, they then subscribe to HBO Max to watch it. But they're just trying to like double dip with content that's just sitting on HBO Max that then can go to Netflix. And then people might be like, hey, I enjoyed the first 2 seasons of the show that has 5 seasons, but I can only watch the first 2 on Netflix. I'm going to have to, subscribe to HBO Max to watch the rest. And that's how they make their money. So yeah, if you see anything about like, DC shows being saved by Netflix that were on HBO Max or the CW or affiliated with both, whatever it is, don't buy it. Like, I understand that like everyone wants certain shows to come back, or you feel disappointed that something didn't end the correct way, but there's just a lot of disingenuous content out there. So I just thought I'd clarify that because people, a decent amount of people have been asking me. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, guys, weird way to end the video, but if you enjoyed it, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts about the stuff we went over in this video. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.